Believe Podcast Network.
Touchdown earlier in a direct.
Old school.
Now it's Michelle's turn, running all the way. Gets to the edge. Sonny Michelle will send the Dawgs home the championship game.
53.5-yard try. Near hash. Kick right. Snap. Hold. Kick is away. It's reaching. And it is good. 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 Hot Pod does it. All right, Hot Pod.
Comes with an up and out. Wide open. Touchdown. Israel Troop.
All right, welcome in. We're going old school with the intro, I see. But welcome in. It's the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. And as always, my main man, partner in crime, Israel Troop, joins us. Israel, how did it go in the woods today?
Not so good. But, another day in the woods. So maybe I'll go this weekend. Maybe it'll be a little bit. Today was good. But nothing today, dog. Nothing today.
Dang. So what is it? You're getting hog? Is that what you're shooting right now?
No,
or is it deer?
We're deer.
Deer now.
But
okay.
If a hog, you got to shoot it.
There you go. Deer with rifle, or deer? Is it bow season?
No, it's rifle season. The bow's been recovered for the time being.
Gotcha. Okay. So now you can shoot it. Got it. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe this weekend will be plentiful for you as you get some venison jerky going for the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Football wise, you guys are gunning for the region championship, aren't you?
Yeah, we got one more. We play Statesboro tomorrow. Big region game. With a win, we at least a home playoff game. And next week for region championship against Coffee County Trojan.
There you go. Well, I take care of business this week and take care of business next week, and maybe you get home field perhaps throughout.
Absolutely.
That'd be nice. Everyone has to come down to the Granite Bowl, right? That's where y'all play. Ware County, the Granite Bowl. What is y'all stadium called?
The Granite Stadium, the Swamp.
What's the Swamp? What's the Granite Bowl? Is that Elbert County?
Yes, I don't want to say that's Elbert County.
Okay, gotta remember my Georgia high school football iconic landmarks here. So the Granite Bowl. Okay, no, the Swamp. Okay, yes. All right, yeah. Well, the books has officially been closed on Hillwood football, so we closed that chapter and we opened a new book, the Lawson High School book. So that'll be good. That'll be fun. New school is happening. We have parent-teacher conferences tomorrow. So no school for the students, but we're going to get to tour the new school as a faculty. We're going to get to go over there and see. I was over there about a month ago, so I'm interested to see what the progress is from last time I was there to now. So that'll be fun.
That is pretty cool. Y'all getting a whole new school, whole new name, whole new look. Big things are coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, November 2nd, the world will know what we are and what we're going to look like, what our colors are going to be. So I'll start getting some swag. I'll start getting some gear, and we're going to make this thing look good.
Love it.
There could be a storm coming. Well, if you want to get in on the chat, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Jump in. The chat hopefully will be live and bumping. So just leave your comments there. You'll see them off to the side. We are brought to you by betonline.ag. The NBA is back now. BetOnline remains your number one source for all sports betting needs. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, game trends at BetOnline. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. I know they do a really good bowl bowl pick'em thing. So it's always the fastest, easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, or even golf. Can't forget college football either. So head to betonline.ag, join, and receive your 50% welcome bonus. Since you slept on it, it was 100%. Now it's 50%, but it's still a great deal. With your first deposit, make sure to use that promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV to receive your rewards. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. So we're going to pick a few lines later on in the show. We'll tell you kind of what to bet. Israel, you become our resident betting expert. So
yeah, don't listen to me lately because it's rather rough lately.
Oh yeah, there you go. Well, you'll get back on track. You always do. So we'll pick a few games to get back on track, and we'll. I went 6-1 on illegal motion last week, so
You
you
need to be
I'm
listening.
on a bit of a heater. I know I'm on a bit of a heater, but don't listen to me when it comes to SEC games. Because I went 3-3 last week on SEC After Dark, and I don't think I did too hot in the other games we picked last week. So, but I did. I think we both picked Syracuse to cover.
We did. They should have won that game.
They really should have. Cade Klubnik, though, came in and saved the day.
They're about.
Is there a quarterback controversy?
Yeah, they're about to have Kelly
Bryant
battle going on.
Yeah, it's got to be Klubnik, right? At this point,
I don't know.
Do you stick with DJ?
I think you stick with DJ. I think maybe he had a bad day, all quarter day against Syracuse. So
yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
That's kind of given. I think
but given his history, though,
it was Syracuse that Kelly got. Now that I think about it,
yeah. But given DJ's history, this is not his first or even second bad game.
it's true.
He had a whole season's worth last year. He didn't have a whole. He was on thin ice up until about 2 weeks ago. So
yeah,
does that factor in? Do you think?
I think what he's done, the last couple weeks, besides the game, obviously, he just can't turn the ball. And they don't turn the ball over. He's pretty good. But I think you definitely have the backup ready to go. Don't get any easier going forward, especially trying to get into the playoff and win out.
Which shouldn't be too hard for them because I think their last test is Notre Dame, and that's not really a test anymore. So, I don't know. I thought it was an interesting question. We talked about it a little bit on a League of Motion, and that was kind of like our ACC recap. But not a overwhelmingly great slate of SEC games last week. Most of them were stinkers. Alabama had 27 yards rushing against Mississippi State. LSU overcame a 17-3 deficit and put it on Ole Miss. And then the other games, I think, were Vandy should have. I think they missed a great opportunity to beat Missouri. They had them, but they just couldn't finish it. What am I leaving out? South Carolina beating Texas A&M.
And I'm starting a $25 million man that they got Jimbo to give up play calling. Very, very clear that he's lost it. Sometimes that happens, So where Cliff Berry said that he might give it up, trying some new ideas. At some point Jimbo's got to start listening to his assistants. I mean, you hired those guys for rehab input. What you can do, but to go Carolina where you're a heavy favorite and to lose the way you did, it was not pretty. Defense, I'd be mad. I'd be highly upset if I'm the defense.
Defense played well enough to win that game.
They played well enough every game.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the story of the season. The defense plays well enough to win, but Devin A-Chain just can't do it all by himself.
No receivers. They have no quarterback, obviously. And right now, if I'm a quarterback, it's not in my top 5.
They have a freshman that they're just sitting on right now.
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to play calling. They're struggling in that particular area of having an offensive who just can't
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like something's got to change, or some of those boosters are going to be looking mighty heavily at scrounging up $95 million.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's coming. It is coming.
Mm-hmm. But it's not getting any easier for Texas A&M because they got Ole Miss this week, and they suspended 4 starters for smoking weed in the locker room.
At the same time, you got to think he has the same record as Kevin, and is getting paid way more than Kevin Sumlin, with way more talent than Kevin Sumlin had.
Yep.
That doesn't well.
No. Doesn't bode well whatsoever. It's not a good look there, Jimbo. Not a good look. So they will look to regroup, which is going to be a very difficult thing because Ole Miss is also coming off an ass kicking, so to speak, and Lane Kiffin's already laid down the gauntlet. So
yeah,
they're ready to go, man.
Yeah, he's
they
already
are ready.
Jay Durkin, I saw that day. He said, "Well, I guess they had a little bit more." So I mean, talking's already started. So,
yeah.
Ole Miss kind of got exposed last week against LSU. Although LSU had a really good game plan, but it was just lack of execution. It looked like not tackling, diving at legs and things like. No way that they should have come back. So then they're gonna be a little bit upset this week. So take it easy.
Yeah, they better be ready to go because it's going to be ugly. And we'll talk about more about that in our picks segment with that game. But it ain't going to be easy. I promise you. Ohio State looked good this weekend. They remain as the number 2 team in the country after every single unit on their team outscored. Every single unit in that game outscored Iowa's offense.
Yeah, I think it's time for Iowa to ways, and Iowa's a great program. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's time for some new leadership.
It's been time. But Connor Wegman is the freshman I'm talking about out of Cyprus. I don't know why they're not giving him a shot. They need to. Iowa once proud program. It's just stale. It's stale. They just need to do something about it. So maybe they will, but they can't unless they get rid of the AD because AD and Kirk Ferentz are tight. So that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those things where how much do you like your job, bruh? Are you gonna boy stay and make you look bad, or are you gonna make this decision?
And I don't think the president has the to fire Gary Barta. Like, I just don't think there's any really situational awareness over there. Like, they don't know what's going on. So,
I think they all got dirt. And it's usually that situation as to what happened the way they do. Especially in our profession, just as well as I do. If I got dirt on you, I'm pretty much good, expose it. So that's kind of what it sounds like, especially when Iowa got in all that trouble, the whole players and all that whole deal. And he's still there. Something going on over there.
Somebody has something on somebody.
Absolutely.
And it might be one of these situations where it's like,
who's going to tell first?
Yeah. It's like a big game of chicken. So, all right, we'll put a lid on that week and looking forward to the next. Got the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. So, this is a neutral site game. We all know Kirby's opinion on this neutral site game. So I'm going to ask you, and you've played in it. You've been a part of it. Kirby's opinion that it should go home and home. I saw a compromise where it would go home and home with a third game being in Jacksonville. So Athens, Gainesville, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
In that cycle. I really like that because it preserves this game.
I kind of like that deal. I do think it should be home and home because you got to think games. You got Auburn and LSU. I mean, not Auburn. Auburn, Alabama. They always play, and it was home and home. Your big times other than Arkansas, Texas A&M, much play home and home.
I think the only rivalry now that's not home and home besides us is Texas, Oklahoma. The Red River Shootout.
Yeah.
It's in the Cotton Bowl.
Been doing that a lot longer than Jacksonville, right?
I don't know, because Jacksonville, we've been doing that since 1933, and I think we took a 2-year break when they were renovating. But it's similar. Similar.
I think we do.
I think it's time.
Home.
I think it's time.
I think it helps with recruiting. It helps with recruiting.
And every once in a while, play it in Jacksonville. I don't think it's
you obviously can't have the amount of people that are going to be there, just like you would in Jacksonville. But at the same time, benefits each school. You do the formation talking about one time in Sanford, one time in Ben Hill, and one time in Hill. I think that goes well for each side. You know,
because I don't think a whole lot of Georgia fans.
Get split it.
Yeah, I don't think a whole lot of Georgia fans have been to the Swamp either.
Yeah.
So that would be a good vacation for a lot of people. That would be a good trip.
Yeah.
Go see the Swamp. You know, where only Gators get out alive. Yeah. And I know Ben's probably like, yeah, home and home. Get Georgia down into the Swamp. I know he's probably chomping at the bit for that. So, but yeah, I think it should be. You know, I think it's a great compromise. I think the atmosphere of having a true home game for either team. I mean, you're not going to be able to accommodate the way you do in Jacksonville. Just if you go home and home, and that's okay. I mean, you lose that, except for like once every 3 years. But it just needs to be. It just needs to be a true home game for Georgia and a true home game for Florida when it's their turn, and let the chips fall where they may, because I think it's getting a little stale being in Jacksonville.
Yeah, that, and think about the winner of that game wins the East. So just imagine that being in Sanford or Ben Hill, and you're the favorite to win. Excitement that's already built because it's Georgia. Florida is now in your backyard. You know, so.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's time. I think next year is the last year.
Yeah, and then the contract's up. So I think you're going to see in this game, I think Kirby's going to do everything he can to get this score as lopsided as possible, because we are 22.5-point favorites. So I think he's going to do whatever he can to cover that and then some, just to show that this game needs the excitement needs to be reinvigorated on the campuses, and it can't happen in Jacksonville. And I think he's going to try to do everything in his power to prove that point if he can.
Absolutely. You know, I was looking today. 22 doesn't seem like much. You know, if you go back to the Missouri game, we didn't cover that one. So I think we can do this. This is the first year, long time that nobody on Florida defense, you know, me. Nobody really of any important, Brendan Cox, which we kind of does because he was at Georgia before he went forward. The offense definitely doesn't scare me. If Anthony Richardson's not on the run game, you pretty much win the ball game. So it was close. Don't get me wrong. I think next year I get about more competitive. But
they're
now
very close.
Georgia's got a point proof. You know, and this game is going to get us ready for next week. You never want to look ahead, man, but we need a great showing for this, build us confidence for the big showdown next week.
Yeah. And an SEC East basically the SEC East championship game, which is in Athens, which is a home and home. So I think that should be that way for the Florida game too. But this year it happens to be Georgia, Tennessee for the East. But I don't think people realize, and I think the Utah game gave a lot of people false hope or false sense of what Florida actually is, that the big steaming pile of trash that Billy Napier took over. Like you know, like on HGTV when you watch and they buy these houses sight unseen, you know, like the the house flipping shows, and they
Mhm.
they get in an auction. They have to like people didn't really know. Like on the exterior, it looks good, right?
Mhm.
Like nice house, somewhat good lawn. You got the coach that's doing all the right things in the press conference and with recruiting and with the marketing portion of it. And then you peel back that front door and you look inside and it is condemned. It is
Awful. Yeah,
ransacked. It
it is
is gross. You got termites, mold. I mean, it's a total gut job
Mhm.
on the inside. But there's hope because it's got a good
Yes.
frame, it's got a good lot, it's got some good
Mhm.
features, just needs a little sprucing, right? And Billy Napier is the guy to do it, I think. He's gonna be good. He's just not there yet. And I think
Yeah.
people don't realize that. And people see it, they saw the Utah game, they're like, "Oh, here we go. Yeah, we got a nice house. Well, this is great." And then they open the door and they're like, "Okay, maybe not." All right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at it, if Utah played Florida right now, they'd beat them to sleep. So I mean,
Mhm.
it's one of those things where you call them. Y'all had a good game. Anthony Richards had a great game. Know, made a
They
couple
just
of good
couldn't
throws.
handle
Made
his
a lot
athleticism.
of,
Yeah.
you know, so you got one. But now, point to where now you're starting to realize how important recruiting is. Then done in the last couple of years by Dan Mullen. It's going a little bit. Will it be? I think so. I think they're going to be a lot better next year. I think year 3 is the year that Florida takes. So you got 2 recruiting cycles coming. You got some young guys that can kind of lead.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they can hit the portal hard too, though.
Yeah, that old group of
I
Dan Mullen,
think year 2 is doable. Yeah.
who has a sour taste in them. Like, all right, they're out. So, all
Mhm.
right, now we can start to do what we want to do.
Mhm.
He's buying by the players that are there. And I think there is. I think
Mhm.
just think that there are pieces to make it work this year.
Right. They just don't have the talent right now. They're just depleted, which we knew that going in. I think
Mhm.
any rational, sane person could look at that roster and go, okay, they're just not ready to compete, and they are exactly what we thought they were, and
Yes.
they're sitting in the standings exactly where I thought they would be, 4th.
Yes.
So yeah, I think we're spot on that, and I think they hit the transfer portal hard too. I think they can get some guys. They can pull an Ole Miss here and get a few guys out of the portal and really kind of bolster their roster and become really competitive in year 2,
Oh, yeah.
with a really big pop in year 3. And I think that's I think Florida fans just need to be a little patient because I think you got the right guy in Billy Napier. You just need to be a little patient. But coming into this game, let's look at the offense. Okay, so what understanding what Florida does well on defense, what is like what's the biggest keys for this offense? Is it just do what we do, get Stetson comfortable, find 19, find 0, and hand it off to 6 and 30 and 2
I
if
think
he's healthy?
I think you be creative. I think you kind of works you're going to want to use moving forward into next week. You definitely got to get comfortable because we all know how he plays when he's comfortable. I think you got to use these guys that really haven't seen tempo yet. And I think it's going to be good that we really with tempo, but we can slow down later. You establish the run. Let's get these offensive linemen confident on people. Instead of just pass set and just straight domination and just knocking the hell out of each other. Establish the run because you're definitely sweet to control the clock because we know how Tennessee plays with tempo. So everything this week, we don't want to look ahead because we want to win this game, obviously. But everything this week against Florida should be geared toward next week. What you want to do with Tennessee. Push and run. You want to play with some tempo as well. You want to score. You're not going to win it. You're going to need touchdowns. So time we're in the red zone, you need to be thinking touchdown. So what is our best play to score is the mindset. Lee, fingers crossed. I think he'll be back, but having AD Mitch back will definitely help. I don't think he'll be back for this game, but he is missed. But you got a lot of guys, Jackson, You know, our tight end that we have.
Yeah, Dominic
And
Blaylock,
fresh
Dylan
Blaylock
Dill. Yeah,
starting to get some look now. So even though he's down, you know, our passing, you know, game is still wide open. So right now it's just the point of let's work on us, you know, Florida. Yes, we want to be Florida, but let's work on us, you know, to get prepared for this gauntlet that we're about to hit. Because like you said earlier, when you were talking, Mississippi State held Alabama 27 yards. So what are we gonna do? You know, so you still got Kentucky, who's still gonna be. So everything
hell of a defense,
now
and
needs
they
to
always have a chance with Levis.
Yep. Everything now needs to be geared toward one and two, getting everything ready, you know, for this climb that we're about to make.
Yeah, and I think with AD Mitchell being out, I think it's going to give us a chance to work on our quick game a little bit and the rhythm throws that we get into, because you know with AD Mitchell we know we can go up top with him on post routes, corner routes, go routes, whatever vertical thing you want to do with AD Mitchell. We know we got that. We know the rapport is there. What we need is those other guys to work in on the quick and intermediate games, work our pass pro against you know heavy blitz, because Tennessee's going to bring heavy blitz, Florida's going to bring heavy blitz. You know Mississippi State's going to try to get there with 4, but they can bring heavy blitz as well. I mean, teams are gonna send guys against Stetson and try to get him off his spot. We know that, and so this will be good work for us. It'd be good work for us for him to find where his options are besides AD, besides Brock Bowers, because that's also who the defenses are going to try to take away is Brock Bowers. So working on quick game, working on getting the ball out on time, I think it's the most important part to getting Stetson in rhythm, because if you can do that, he gets confidence. If he gets confidence, that offense starts rolling. And so, and then the run game starts going into beast mode. Those offensive linemen just licking their chops to run power, counter, power, counter, power, counter, zone, power, counter, outside zone, power, counter, power, counter, power, counter, outside zone. You get the drift. So I didn't have enough counters memorized. Yeah, just rolling, dude. Just absolutely road grating. So it's a thing of beauty. But defensively for Georgia, likely, I'm fearful that Jalen Carter might be done for the year. So there's some guys they're going to step up. Bear Alexander's going to have to he's going to have to grow up fast. Zion Logue going to have to grow up fast. Nazir Stackhouse going to have to grow up fast and be one of those guys are have to be that dude that Jalen Carter is.
Yes.
And provide that spark in the middle.
Yeah, I think the next guy, Stackhouse, he showed some different twitch about him too. You know, when him and Carter both on the field, they're one and the same, kind of like Wyatt and Jordan. So Bear, like you said, step up. You know, he's a big kid, wonderful plugger, but like you said, he's gonna have to now. You know, can he handle it? No, or does he get Coach 30?
So, Coach 30 found Ole Miss this week.
Yes, he did, and it was absolutely wonderful. It was Alabama one, definitely.
It just gets better every week.
Absolutely, yes. Great. Hopefully, Florida gets Coach 30. Florida doesn't do anything that scares me. Anthony Richardson is not a yet. I think he will be. They don't really have any that are dangerous that they normally have. No more Cal Pitts or any guys like that. So we just go out and do what we do. You know, play our game. And like I said, same thing with offense. Whatever you're thinking about running next week against Tennessee, try it out in this game, see how it works, see how you like it. And I would use the lane Kirby Smart using that video, but I'm not. Let's go ahead and win this game and get back on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. So defensively, I think it's good that we're going against Anthony Richardson because it's going to prepare us a little bit for Hendon Hooker because Hooker's a runner. He can move with his feet. He's got a powerful arm. He's way more accurate, but he's way more accurate than Richardson. But I think it prepares us for a lot of aspects of what Tennessee's going to do to try to hurt us, and it'll teach us to rush and blitz disciplined. Because you can't just go in there all wild and willy nilly. You'll run right by him, and he's out the back door and gone. 84 yards, and Florida's got some momentum now. You can't have those things happen. You've got to rush discipline. You've got to just get them scrambling around and get them just moving around and trying to, just make something out of nothing type stuff.
You're gonna get a lot of screens. You're gonna get some power, some counter, a little bit of zone, and a lot of RPO type stuff. So this is definitely a great game leading into next week. You kind of see the tempo aspect of it. You're probably not going to see control the clock a little bit. But as far as the game plan itself, kind of similar to what Tennessee runs as far as screen, try to hit you deep. Kind of like really exactly what Tennessee.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm excited to see kind of what we got and just to see kind of how explosive on both sides of the ball that we're going to be. Special teams is always going to be good. I'd like to see us be a little bit more sure-handed in the return game, but Pod is good. Our punter, the new Aussie guys, is those Aussies have powerful legs. So I know our kick game is going to be good.
There's a Ware County kicker at Georgia too. There's a Ware County kicker at Georgia now, Mr. Bates. His little brother kicks for us. He's a punter, and I plays kicker for us too. I think our kicking game is well in good hands. Up to champ. Those guys are doing a phenomenal job, special teams wise. And like you said, shore up everything in the return game. Make sure we're fielding punts whenever we can. But there's really, it's always good when there's not a thing that happens in your special teams. Right. That's one area that can worry.
Oh, totally. You drop a punt, man. It's might be all she wrote.
Drop a punt, point.
Yeah.
Good. I'm excited about this game. I'm interested to see how we come out after a bye week because I think, you start to see the injuries and stuff kind of piling on those guys a little bit. And I know Kirby Smart let him go home a little bit early. So, kind of get away from everything a little bit. Now it's time to, it's time to go back to work. What's the end goal here? The end goal, win, make this championship, win that championship. You got to beat Florida to get there.
Yeah. Florida's first up, then Tennessee, then Kentucky, then Mississippi State, then Kentucky, then Georgia Tech, and then take care of business in the SEC championship, and you'll be just fine, just fine. If you don't, well, then you probably didn't deserve to be there anyway. But then again, I think this is one of those years where, win or lose, I think if Georgia loses to Tennessee and wins out, stays at one loss, there's a chance at some chaos at the top of the thing. So, there's a chance that Tennessee and Georgia, if Tennessee beats Georgia and then turns out and beats Alabama again in the SEC championship, granted that Alabama makes it there, we could see Georgia right back in the fourth spot and Tennessee getting in as SEC champion in the playoff.
Absolutely. So you got Tennessee for segment here. Tennessee wins. You have Tennessee, Ohio State because I'm going to win the Big Ten.
There's no question.
They're gonna stick Clemson. Now it goes down to who's the next team to go in. Put a one-loss Pac-12 team in. Your only argument you goes undefeated and wins the conference. I let them jump Georgia, but strength of schedule.
Didn't TCU lose already? Hadn't they lost one? Didn't lose to Oklahoma State?
They hadn't lost them. Now I think about it. Let me check my Palm Pilot here. But
your Nokia Palm Pilot.
Yeah, but
I want to say they won.
I think that's the only thing that can keep us from being great is if they are. Let me check. TCU is undefeated. They can jump us. Yeah, they're 7-0.
Okay, yeah, they are 7-0. Okay, they should be ranked higher.
7-0.
They sure are. So, yeah, I think if they're undefeated Big 12 champions, it's gonna be hard to leave them out. But honestly, with the way the Big 12 is going, you never know. So let's say they lose. Okay, so you're looking at that fourth spot coming down to Georgia, Michigan, TCU. Who gets in?
And Utah. I think you got to put Utah in there if they finish out the season with one loss. Because they beat
That's
USC.
going to be a hell of a game, Utah-Oregon.
Yeah, they would have beat Oregon. And now, if Oregon wins out, do you put Oregon in that spot? So
yeah, I don't know. With Georgia and Oregon sitting there and Georgia winning 49-7.
Good argument.
I don't think you do that. I don't think you can argument. If they're both. But one's a conference champion, so I don't know if that carries any weight. But
true.
Head to head, you got your.
And what's to say if Ole Miss comes in and beats Alabama?
This is why we need a 12-team playoff.
Loss.
This is why we need a 12-team playoff.
A lot of teams out here looking out looking in like, hey, bro, we
I don't think you're gonna have it. I don't think you're gonna have an at-large playoff bid this year. I think TCU is gonna run the table in the Big 12. Personally,
yeah,
you never know, but I think they will.
Gonna be hard to keep an undefeated team out because about all the teams are gonna be undefeated. That'll be in the playoff.
Be Ohio State and TCU. We'll probably finish undefeated. It's going to be hard. So you're looking at ACC champ Clemson, which I don't think there's anybody that can push Clemson at this point. They've passed the only test they've had and are going to have.
All the big five. Then the Pac-12 in the semifinal.
I think the Pac-12 is going to get left out. I think it's TCU.
That's
TCU, Ohio State. Yeah, I think it's TCU, Ohio State, the SEC champ, and Clemson, which I'm going and crowning them ACC champion. Let's just get that out of the way.
That's gonna.
That's how I see it. Yeah,
it is tough. So basically, pretty much has to write their own ticket. Alabama has to win out. They can't lose. If they lose another, you can't put a 2-loss team in there. It just can't happen.
Yeah, Alabama's got to win the conference if they want to get in. Tennessee's got to win the conference if they want to get in. Georgia's got to win the conference if they want to get in. There is no. Yeah, I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if they left out TCU. I would be pissed if TCU was undefeated and they're not in the playoff.
Oh yeah,
I would be pissed.
Somebody's door.
Yeah, that would. I'll be pissed for TCU. Like if Georgia gets in as Eastern Division runner-up over TCU, Big 12 champ, undefeated. I mean, I'll take it because I'm a Georgia fan. I want to win the national championship, but I would still be like, yeah, we didn't really deserve to get in. But since we're here, we might as well just win the whole thing. So
you might as well.
But this is further proving the need for the 12-team playoff. This scenario right here.
Team controls their own destiny. So if you want to get in, you got to win. You know, I love it that way because it goes, do you want it? How bad are you going to practice? What you're supposed to do? You're going to stay out of trouble, so shows how much of a mature team you have.
Smoke weed in the locker room.
Yeah, which I do not understand. Of all places to do the locker room.
Yeah, why would you do it in the locker room? I don't get it. I don't get that. Like, do you not think they're gonna like? It smells like a dead skunk. You smell like a dead animal when you smoke
But
that stuff.
I also
In
think that goes to the point
locker room.
of Jimbo's losing the team. Because
Yeah.
at what point do you think kids at Georgia are trying Kirby Smart like that, saying I'm gonna smoke weed in the locker
No, because they'll be at Kennesaw
room?
State.
Do you think there's smoke weed in the locker room at Clemson?
No.
Lane Kiffin, just guys that you would think that, all right, these guys are players. These guys are pretty cool. No, they're not that, but you're going to do it at Texas A&M, $5 million a year. Well, as salary, but he's making like 10 a year, something like that. 9, 10 million a year. So, I don't know. Then you go to Columbia and get beat in physically by South Carolina. Yeah. By the way, he's playing really, really good. Coach Bear,
they're better.
Those boys fans football.
Oregon and South Carolina are doing everything in their power to help Georgia out with strength of schedule.
Yeah,
and I love it. I love it.
Appreciate you.
I love
Appreciate
it.
you.
Hey, I'm a big South Carolina fan. I'm a big Oregon fan right now. Keep winning. Keep winning. Makes our schedule better. But I always maintain if we win the conference, we'll never get left out. So,
yep,
never worried about that. So, but yeah, going all the way back, taking it all the way back to this Florida game. Put a big number up on them, like you did against South Carolina, like you did against Oregon. Nobody will think twice about it.
No. Florida's just not it this year, and I hate it because we look for this game being that game year. But this game is what game? This is the trap game for us. You get caught looking past Florida, Tennessee, and you get beat. So got to stay focused and win this game. Work your game plan a little bit, kind of some stuff you want to use against Tennessee. Play smart. Try to avoid all injuries, have this thing healthy, get on the plane, get back to Athens, get ready for the big showdown, which I will be to against Tennessee.
Oh, okay. You got to bring us a little luck here. Okay, I got you.
Literally, last time I was in San Francisco, we beat South Carolina like they stole something. So,
Well, you got to then, right? Okay, absolutely. So let's get some picks here. Let's see if we can get back in good shape here. All right.
I got to track.
So I'm back on track. All right. I will start. We're going to kind of go all over the place here. Undefeated TCU, they travel to Morgantown. They are 7.5-point favorites. Over under set at 68.5. Israel, can they stay undefeated here?
I think they stay undefeated. I think they heat up JT Daniels, which every team has done. Although they've had a lot of points, TCU's defense is pretty good. I think they kind of get JT, and I think they win by. It's gonna be a shootout still, but 68 is a lot of points.
Yeah.
I think their defense. I think West Virginia's offense isn't as good as what they played. Saying a lot considering what Kansas has kind of took poop on that, but I do think they win by 7. I like by 7.
Well, that would be a West Virginia cover. I'm taking TCU to win by more than 7. So I'm going to take TCU in the cover. I will take TCU in the under here if I'm going to take a 2-leg parlay. So I just think Max Duggan is making plays. Their defense is flying around. Their run game is strong. They're just clicking.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to explain, but they're just clicking. So I'm going to take the Horned Frogs here.
Let me clarify. I am taking TCU to cover.
Okay, so they've got to win by more than 7. If you wanted to cover, it's 7.5 points, just to clarify. All right, our next game, The Ramblin' Wreck travel to Tallahassee. It's a huge spread. Jeff Sims is out for the Yellow Jackets. Florida State's favored by 24 points, but the over-under is only set at 47.5. Can Florida State cover this thing?
I'm taking the under, and Florida State doesn't cover. His defense is pretty good. Can't take that. They can't take that from them. I don't think they're across the 50 on offense. I think it's going to be a 35-10 game. Georgia Tech's defense is pretty good.
Yeah. 35-10. I don't think you paid attention to math class today. 35-10 is a cover for Florida State.
What was it?
It's 24. It's a 24-point spread.
I was taking the under, thinking about.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so the under.
I was the under in my head. I wasn't taking points, but I was just thinking in my head. I think I'll take the under now.
Yeah, I'm going to take. Yeah,
and it also depends on what color Norvell wears. If he wears the gray one, they'll cover the spread and the over. But if he was anything else, cover.
And I think the over/under is set so low because Vegas is thinking they're going to have to rely on Florida State to cover this thing by themselves. So
yeah,
with
Sims out,
it's going to be a hard. It's going to be a hard thing to do. So, but I'm going to go ahead and take Florida State here. Maybe you're wrong. I'm going to take Florida State, and if they win, they're going to have to hit the over because I think that's the only way they can get to 24 points because Georgia Tech's can get lucky somehow, and they're going to pull an Iowa here, and their defense is going to score. They're going to have something that's going to require Florida State to hit the over. But I think I think it's either going to be Florida State wins close and they hit the under, or Florida State blows them out like 49-3 or like 52-7 to hit the cover and the over. So I think if Florida State covers, it's going to be a big number. So I'm going to take Florida State in the over.
Sounds about right. Oh no, I'm gonna wait and see.
That's a tough one, man. That is a tough one. All right, so Penn State, Ohio State. This game can get a little tricky.
No.
Penn State is at home. It is the big noon kickoff. So Fox doing Penn State 0 favors because usually this game is the ABC 7:30 game and it's a whiteout. But Penn State is 14.5-point underdogs at home to the Buckeyes.
I could take that. They played really good against Minnesota last week. The offense kind of woke up a little bit. Defense pretty much stalemate. So I'm taking Ohio State. And
all right.
I think they win by more than half.
Yeah, I'm taking Ohio State here. I think Ohio State's going to get the cover.
Pretty much.
I don't know about. Yeah, they've just. Yeah, they've gotten. It's going to get out of hand, I think, because I'm not a big believer in Penn State. I think they're a little bit on the fraudulent end.
Yeah, and I think they're licking their chops to play Michigan again. So I don't think it's going to get in their way of what they want to do to people, what they have been doing to people all season.
Yeah, I think this is going to be another feather in CJ Stroud's Heisman hat. So, our last non-conference game here that I think is an interesting. Well, actually, I may have told a little bit of a fib there, but because I may pick a different game. But Syracuse is actually favored 2.5. We'll go real quick on this one. I think Syracuse's defense is going to just completely obliterate and stonewall Notre Dame. I think so. I think they cover.
I think so too.
I I think it's going to hit the under.
Yeah, it's definitely going to hit the under because
which is 47.5.
all things considered, Notre Dame does finish, but they can't score on offense. Kind of need a quarterback. So, yeah, it's going to be the under. And I think Syracuse's game, unfortunately, our buddy Freeman over there.
Yeah, it's getting a little rough for him. But like Napier, he inherited somewhat of a mess. Things weren't exactly perfectly laid out for him when Brian Kelly left.
Picked up and left. I mean, they're at Notre Dame for forever, endured all the you can't win in the semifinal, and then he just, all right, I'll holler at you. Like left.
And he joins the family down at LSU. So Auburn is hosting Arkansas. Arkansas's 3.5-point favorites at Jordan Ayers Stadium. This has got to be a get right game for somebody.
I think it's going to be get right for. I think it's time.
Yeah, I think so.
Arkansas to figure it out. I think this is a game that they do. The Auburn playing really good football as of late. I think it's time for something back on track.
Absolutely. We're not going to pick this game, but I will make an observation here. Illinois being favored in any game, any Big Ten game, was a complete and utter shock to me coming into this year. Just so you know. They're going to win the division. Just in case you're not aware. Okay, I know I told a little fib. Oklahoma State, Kansas State. It's basically a pick 'em. It's a 1.5-point spread. Really, you're looking at the pick 'em, and we're really just going to pick the over under. Can they hit the over under on 56?
I think they can. Kansas State showed you last week, so they're going to be pissed off.
Adrian Martinez, I think, may be out.
Oklahoma State's going to win, unfortunately.
I think it's Spencer Sanders and Okie State, regardless, and I think they hit the over. All right, we alluded to it. We're both going Georgia on the cover, 22.5.
Yeah.
Over under is 56.5.
I think we win by 24.
I think we'll have to come close to the over if we win, if we cover the spread. To cover the spread, because I think Florida's going to score double digit. I think they're going to score 14 to 17 points.
Yeah.
We'll have to score into the upper 40s to get there. So if we're gonna cover, it's gonna have to be that way. All right, Missouri at South Carolina. South Carolina 3.5-point favorites at home. Finally,
Saturday at home. Give me the Gamecocks.
Yeah, give me the Gamecocks big in this one. I just don't think Missouri's about to get an avalanche of sandstorm. Yeah, and they ain't ready for it.
Drinkowitz starts to make his complete to the hot seat after this game as well.
Yep. Which we predicted at the beginning of the year he was going to be the first coach fired, so wouldn't shock me. All right, Kentucky taking on Tennessee. Tennessee has their own little trap game. It's a 6:00 kickoff. Tennessee is 12-point favorites. Now, to me, I think Kentucky and Florida alike are going to have to score early and often to be able to keep up with their opponents. So I think if Kentucky can do that, they have a chance. I just don't think they can. Tennessee's just going to overwhelm them in this. Tennessee sees blood. I like Tennessee, and I like the over.
Tennessee, because I want them to be undefeated for next week.
When you see all that orange empty out?
Yeah, I think that's what I want to see. So I need Tennessee. I need y'all to win. I think they win by 14.
Nice. Or more. Okay. All right, last
Sorry,
pick. Yeah. Sorry, Vinny. Vinny knows. Vinny's well-versed in this rivalry, so he knows. Okay. Last one. The aforementioned Ole Miss Texas A&M game. A&M. This is still a pick'em somehow. The spread is down to 1.5. A&M's missing some people. I think Ole Miss. I think they hit the over. I think Ole Miss by two scores at least. If they take care of the ball, if they would have taken care of the ball against LSU, they would have won.
Yeah, I think
LSU
Ole Miss
would not have won.
Back on track. When the trash talking starts early, it's always going to be a good week. So Ole Miss this week to win it, and Bo to start crying real soon.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to evaporate those 37 pages of call sheet. So
yeah.
Well, Israel, that's gonna do it for us. So if you're taking notes, I'll put this pick segment up probably early sometime tomorrow. I'll put our pick segment up so you can kind of scrub through it and make your selections based on what we say. But do that responsibly. Do that at your own risk. Do that at your own risk. We're not saying our picks are gospel, but they are an educated guess, which gambling really, that's all it is. If you really think about it. So, well, any last words here? Are you what are you doing for the game? Are you going to be out of the woods by then?
Yeah, usually I'm out of the woods by the college game day comes on, depending on what time we get back from Statesboro. But we're going to take our kids trading tomorrow at some. But I would definitely have the game on wherever we are to watch this one. So
yeah.
It's going to be a great day for football. Games are back on. That 12 o'clock game, Penn State and Ole Miss has intrigued me a lot. Ohio State. Where did I get Ole Miss? Ohio State and Penn State. So looking forward to that one. But it's going to be a great day for football Saturday.
Yeah, there you go. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's a lot of good games here. It doesn't seem like it on paper, but I just have a feeling it's going to be one of those days where you're like, oh, well, I didn't anticipate this, but this is going to be a pretty good slate of games.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So, I'm excited.
Starting to come
that's
down
good.
Last couple of games.
Yeah, it's getting exciting here. It's getting exciting here down the stretch. This is what college football is all about. This is why.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we're on podcasts like this, to talk about such an amazing sport, because it is the game. Each game is important, and it's going to come down to it. And so I'm excited for it. Florida's up this week. Tennessee's up the next. Got to finish it. If you got to run the table. Every game's important. So just because we have an air of confidence here on this show doesn't mean that this season's not on pins and needles. Doesn't mean that it doesn't require hyper focus. We're just watching. We have no control. So I'm excited. I know you are. I know everyone out there listening is excited. So depending on how excited you actually are, go ahead and click on our links. Go ahead and follow us on social media. If you really want a good follow, this guy over here, follow him right there. He's good.
Just a regular dude.
Great follow. Great follow. He's a lot funnier than I am. I try. I try to make fun of Steve sometimes. That's the best I can do. A lot of times, just make fun of Steve. It's usually a good go-to. Poke fun at him. He got called a homer earlier this week.
It's kind of what we all are about it.
Israel. He has the audacity to talk only Ole Miss on the Locked On Ole Miss show.
How dare he?
I know, right? Just I can't have this malarkey out there on the airwaves, just poisoning people's minds. We can't have it.
Yeah,
can't have it.
They do what they do. We do what we do.
Mm-hmm. It's just like the coaches in the 17th row. Do you have your fan? Speaking of which, do you have your fan club yet?
No,
I mean,
no,
I mean
don't
that. I
have
mean
any.
that sarcastically.
No, I usually have one or two every year, but I haven't had any that I love this year. But it's bound to happen. Coming.
Has Kelly hadn't heard anything either, or she hadn't told you about it? You usually, huh?
Are you talking about my wife?
Yeah,
My wife's name is Lindsay, man.
Lindsay. Why did I think Kelly?
Who? Her last name was Kelly.
Ah, that's where I'm getting it from. Okay, yeah. Sorry, Lindsay.
I was about to say, if listening, yeah, he meant your last name, your former.
Yeah, if you're listening, he is not Mormon. He is not polygamist. He does not have multiple wives. He's happily married to you, Lindsay.
Absolutely.
I don't know where did I get Kelly from? I have no idea.
That's her maiden name.
Okay, maybe so. Maybe I saw. Maybe you just see Lindsay Kelly Troop or whatever, and you just kind of glance at it.
Mm-hmm. I'm picking up what you're putting down, but no, she loves it. She's had a good experience at the game, but it's football, so it's bound to throw a temper tantrum in the stands eventually. So it's only a matter. Probably next week when we play for the region championship, is willing. Somebody's gonna get mad.
There'll be some. Run the ball, Coach Troop. What are you doing?
Hey,
what are you doing, Coach?
There's nothing we can do.
Yeah. So, anyway, well, that's going to do it for us right here on the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. We thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in on the Believe Network. Make sure you check out all the other great shows that we have available on this network. If you really any of your interest, we probably have a show for it. I went on this SEC pregame show hosted by Are You Serious Sports, and after my segment, you learned how to make the game day cocktail of the week from Jenna Duddleston, who is actually a producer for the Believe Network as well as hosting. I think she calls it Bar Talk with Jenna, so she does a great job.
Nice.
I'm not that talented, so I didn't try to make the drink that she made the last time I was on the show. So one of these days I will, maybe. It looked good, looked delicious.
Do it.
But
do it.
I'll do it. I'll report back. So, and I'll report back. I'll give you the recipe, and maybe you and Lindsay can make it at up in Athens next week when you travel to.
Absolutely, it's going to be a great.
All right. Well, check us out on social media: Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Find us at Believe in Dogs on all those platforms. Our handles are right here on the screen at Coach Corey Burton on Instagram for me. And we'll see you back here next week, back better than ever, maybe even just a few days, because we might get back on we'll have to get back on our regular schedule next week, because I can't go on Thursday because we have a banquet. So we'll have to get back on our regular schedule at some point. So, but for Israel, I'm Corey. I hope you have a great weekend. Go Dogs.